All right, so today we're going to do a deep dive into the book of Job.
Oh, wow.
You've sent in a ton of notes and commentaries, so I can tell this is something you've already given a lot of thought to.
Yeah,
And, Job is such a fascinating book.
it really is.
I mean, it's not your typical feel-good Bible story.
No, not at all.
So I'm really excited to kind of dig into this with you.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it grapples with some really big questions, like
He does.
suffering and,
Why?
yeah, why bad things happen to good people.
Yeah, the age-old questions
Exactly.
that we all struggle with, I think, still to this day.
Yeah, exactly. And where is God in all of this?
Yeah.
So let's kind of set the scene here.
Okay.
We're introduced to Job,
Right.
and at first glance, it seems like he has it all.
Yeah, he's described as this blameless and upright man.
He's living the dream, right?
Yeah, someone who feared God and shunned evil.
Yeah.
Like the perfect guy.
And it's not just that he's, pious and all that. He's got a huge family, successful businesses.
Right. All the things you could want.
Yeah. He's respected in the community.
Absolutely.
And then wham, everything just falls apart.
Yeah.
Like, it's really...
Talk about a cosmic Jenga game.
Yeah, seriously.
Like all the blocks are pulled out from under him.
So just like one tragedy after another.
It's a brutal series of blows.
Yeah.
I mean, first his livestock is stolen.
Oh my God.
Servants are killed.
Oh, wow.
Then this freak storm comes
Yeah.
and wipes out the house where all his children are gathered.
I can't even imagine.
And they all perish.
Wow.
And as if that wasn't enough,
Yeah.
Job himself gets struck with this horrible, painful, disfiguring disease.
Oh my gosh. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you even begin to process any of that, let alone all of it?
I know, it's hard to fathom.
And then the text says he tears his robe in mourning, which, makes sense.
Here.
But then he blesses God's name.
Yeah.
It's almost superhuman, right?
It's a fascinating detail because it
Yeah.
really sets up the central conflict of the book.
Okay.
You have this picture of unwavering faith,
Right.
even in the face of unthinkable loss.
Yeah.
But it also kind of makes you wonder,
Yeah.
how long can this kind of piety last
Yeah.
under this immense pressure?
Right, because that initial reaction is probably not the whole story, right?
Yeah, okay.
It's like, okay, you're in shock, but then what happens next?
Right. What happens when the shock wears off, when
Yeah.
reality sets in?
Okay, so that's where things get really interesting. It goes from this very earthly suffering to this, like, cosmic courtroom drama.
Yeah, a heavenly court scene
Yeah.
with the sons of God presenting themselves before God.
Okay, so we have these angelic beings gather.
So it's like a behind-the-scenes glimpse into the spiritual realm.
And who shows up but Satan himself?
Wouldn't you know it?
Yeah.
Satan's there in the mix.
Okay, so I have to ask.
Sure.
In the Bible, Satan's not always, the red horns and the devil we picture.
A little bit.
What is his role in this gathering?
Well, think of him as kind of a divine prosecuting attorney.
Okay.
He's skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
He sees Job's righteousness and says, come on.
Oh.
He's only good because you've given him everything.
So basically he's like putting God up to this.
Yeah, he's like, take it all away,
Oh, wow.
and then let's see if he's still praising you.
Okay, so God agrees to this?
Yeah.
Like Job is a pawn in some celestial chess match?
It does raise some questions
Yeah, that's messed up.
about God's nature and free will.
Yeah.
But God allows Satan to test Job.
Okay.
But there's one important caveat.
Okay, what's that?
He can't actually kill him,
So I guess that's supposed to be comforting?
supposedly.
But I don't know if I was Job, I wouldn't be thrilled.
I think I'd be a little bit
Yeah,
concerned.
a little bit.
More than a little bit, probably.
Yeah. So meanwhile, Job's going through hell,
Right.
has no idea he's the subject of this cosmic bet.
He's completely oblivious.
So how does he handle this feeling of abandonment?
Well, I mean, he's human. The dam breaks.
Yeah.
And Job curses the day he was born,
Wow.
wishes he had never existed.
Wow.
And his lament is really powerful.
Yeah.
It's not just complaining. It's poetry.
Yeah.
It's this raw, visceral emotion pouring out of him.
It's heavy stuff.
It is.
What are some of the things that he says?
Well, he talks about wanting to be like a stillborn infant.
Oh, wow.
He wants to rest in desolate places.
So he just wants it all to end.
Yeah, he just wants to escape the pain.
It really makes you realize that, Job's story isn't just some distant biblical figure.
Right.
It's about the universal experience of suffering.
Absolutely.
The kind that just makes you question everything.
Makes you question everything you believe in.
Yeah, exactly. And, as we all know, when you're at your lowest, sometimes your helpful friends show up.
Oh, yeah, those friends.
Right.
Enter stage. Left. Cue the music.
The three friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar.
Oh, boy.
each with their own ideas about suffering and divine justice. So I'm sensing from your notes that they're more interested in proving their theological points
It seems that way.
than actually comforting their friend.
Yeah, it's less about comfort and more about correction.
Yeah.
Like they've come to set him straight.
Yeah. Okay, so what unfolds is really fascinating. It's just like this back and forth.
It's a verbal boxing match.
Yeah, I like that.
Job throws a punch with his lament,
Okay.
and then each friend counters with their argument.
Oh.
It's very dynamic.
Okay, so let's break down their arguments. We'll
Okay.
start with Eliphaz, the eldest.
Yeah, the wise old man,
Supposedly the wisest.
in theory.
So what's his take?
Well, Eliphaz is a big believer in the you reap what you sow philosophy.
Okay.
He's convinced that suffering is a direct consequence of sin.
Okay.
Humans are flawed, he argues, and they can't possibly stand before a God of pure righteousness.
Interesting. So in his mind, Job's suffering is proof that he must have messed up somewhere.
Exactly.
Like he needs to confess his sin.
Yeah, what's he hiding? Spill the beans. Job.
Now I noticed that he uses two specific Hebrew words for man.
Oh, yeah, that's a good catch.
In his speech,
Yeah,
one emphasizes frailty and the other strength.
that's right.
What's the significance of that?
Well, it's subtle, but it's brilliant.
Okay.
It suggests that even the strongest among us are still just frail humans
Right.
in the eyes of God.
Okay. So is he subtly hinting that even Job,
I can try it.
despite his outward piety,
Right.
is ultimately vulnerable?
Vulnerable to God's judgment.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's like he's setting the stage.
Right.
And saying, like Job, even you aren't exempt from God's scrutiny.
Nobody gets a free pass.
Yeah, so that sets up one of the central questions of the book, right?
Yeah.
Is suffering always a punishment?
That's the question.
Or could it be a test?
A refining fire.
Right. Yeah.
Or something else entirely.
Yeah. So Eliphaz lays down that sin equals suffering argument.
That's his thesis.
But we know Job's story doesn't end there. What does Bildad bring to the table?
Well, Bildad doubles down
Okay.
on the traditional view of divine justice.
Okay.
He's all about God is just
Mm-hmm.
and punishes the wicked.
Okay.
And unfortunately for Job,
Oh.
that means placing the blame on his family.
Wait a minute. He blames Job's kids for their own deaths.
That's where he goes.
That's harsh.
Yeah, he says that Job's children must have sinned,
Wow.
hence the divine wrath.
Oh my gosh.
And to make his point, he uses this striking image of a spider's web.
A spider's web.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm intrigued.
He compares the security of the wicked,
Okay.
those living outside of God's favor,
Right.
to a spider's web.
Okay.
Easily built,
Mm-hmm.
easily swept away.
So it's like he's saying all their good fortune.
It was built on a shaky foundation.
That's all an illusion.
Exactly.
Okay, so two friends down.
2 down, 1 to go.
They've both essentially blamed Job and his family.
Yep, they're not holding back.
What does Zophar bring to the party?
Well, Zophar's the bluntest of the three,
Oh.
and arguably the most frustrating.
Oh, boy.
He throws out any pretense of gentle counsel
Mm-hmm.
and just straight up accuses Job of empty talk.
Wow.
He mocks him for even trying to understand God's ways.
Okay, but God actually speaks later in the book.
Right.
So isn't that a bit hypocritical?
It's a fascinating paradox.
Yeah.
Zophar represents this rigid, unquestioning approach to faith.
Right.
But the text itself seems to imply that wrestling with doubt and seeking understanding
Right.
aren't incompatible with belief.
So it's not just about blind acceptance. It's
Okay.
about engaging with the tough questions.
Asking the hard question.
Yeah, even if it means challenging our assumptions.
Challenging everything.
And poor Job's caught in the middle of this theological tug of war.
He's in the hot seat,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the book itself is saying, hey, questioning is okay,
Yeah.
part of the process.
So how does Job respond to all this?
I mean, he's been through so much.
Yeah, like hit with tragedy after tragedy.
Exactly. And then his friends just pile on. Yeah.
With all their judgments.
So how does he handle it?
Well, his responses are so powerful.
Yeah.
It's like this whirlwind of emotions.
Oh, wow.
He's angry, he's heartbroken,
Mm-hmm.
feels utterly abandoned.
Even by God.
Yeah, even by God.
It's got to be tough
Yeah.
when you feel like the one person you should be able to turn to.
Right, the one who's supposed to have your back,
Yeah.
isn't there?
Isn't there?
And at times, he even longs for death,
Just to escape the pain.
just to make it stop.
Yeah.
But through it all,
Mm.
there's this thread of defiance.
Okay.
Like he's clinging to it.
He never backs down from his claim of innocence.
Yes, never.
He's like, I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, he's like, why is this happening to me?
Right.
I don't deserve this.
And the way he expresses it,
It's incredible.
it's so wrong.
It's like you can feel the weight of his words.
Yeah, like it's not just abstract theology anymore.
No.
It's like human emotion laid bare.
Exactly.
Like, what are some of the things that really stand out to you? Well, he describes his life as months of futility.
Oh, wow.
He compares his pain to a flood of water.
Powerful imagery.
Yeah, it's like you can almost feel it.
Yeah.
Right? This overwhelming force.
Yeah.
And he talks about being shattered and dashed into pieces by God.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
I get chills when I read those lines.
It's intense.
Yeah.
It really is.
Have you ever felt that way?
Where the emotional just becomes physical.
Yeah.
I think we all have those moments.
Where the grief or the pain is just so heavy.
It's like it's crushing you.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what makes Job's story so relatable.
Yeah.
Even though it's ancient.
Mm. Thousands of years old.
It's still relevant.
Yeah.
Because he's a mirror reflecting our own capacity for pain.
And resilience.
And resilience, exactly.
And then just when you think the drama can't get any higher,
Right.
a new character enters the scene.
Oh, yeah.
Elihu.
The young upstart.
Yeah, he's younger.
Much younger.
Okay, so what's his deal?
Well, Elihu is interesting. Scholars have been debating his role for centuries.
Okay, so he comes in criticizing both Job and his friends.
He does.
What's his unique angle?
Well, he argues that suffering can be a means of purification,
Okay.
a way for God to refine us and strengthen us.
So maybe a gentler approach.
A bit gentler.
Yeah, than the you must have sinned accusations.
Yeah, he's not condemning Job outright.
So why is his speech so controversial?
Well, some scholars see him as kind of arrogant,
Okay.
a bit of a know-it-all,
Mm-hmm.
who doesn't really grasp the gravity of the situation.
Okay.
They point to his long-winded speeches
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that God never really acknowledges him directly,
Oh, interesting.
but others see value in his insights.
Okay.
They argue that he represents a more nuanced view of God's justice,
Okay.
one that allows for growth and transformation through suffering.
So even within this ancient text,
Yeah,
there's room for debate,
absolutely.
multiple interpretations.
It's not a simple story.
Yeah.
Very easy answers.
And it reminds us that, these big questions of faith and suffering,
Yeah.
they rarely have one right answer.
Right. Life is complicated.
And then we get to the climax of the book.
The moment we've all been waiting for,
God finally speaks
and he does it in style.
from a whirlwind.
Talk about an entrance.
So God's going to give Job the answers he's been searching for, right?
Well, not exactly.
Oh.
God's speech doesn't directly address Job's accusations or questions.
What?
Instead, he reveals his power and majesty through a series of questions.
Questions.
Yeah.
What kind of questions?
Questions about creation.
About creation. That
Yeah.
seems a bit off topic.
Well, it's not about giving concrete answers.
Okay.
It's about shifting Job's perspective.
Okay, I'm listening.
Imagine you're Job.
Okay.
You're hurting, you're confused, you want answers.
Yeah.
And instead, God hits you with these questions
Okay.
about the foundations of the earth,
Okay.
the boundaries of the sea,
Mm-hmm.
the habits of wild animals.
Okay. That's a lot to process.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point.
Yeah.
God is saying, look at the vastness of creation,
Mm-hmm.
the mysteries that I control. You think you can comprehend all of this?
It's a humbling experience.
It is.
It's like a reality check.
Yeah.
We are small,
Very small,
and God is infinite.
beyond our understanding.
But it's not just about putting Job in his place.
No.
There's also a sense of wonder
Yeah.
in those questions.
This awe at the beauty and intricacy of the world.
It's like an invitation
Yeah, to see things differently.
to appreciate the bigger picture,
Exactly.
even if we don't understand it.
Even if it doesn't make sense.
So how does Job respond to this divine encounter?
He's overwhelmed.
Yeah,
I mean, who wouldn't be?
right.
He realizes how audacious he's been.
Demanding explanations from God.
Yeah. Who are we to question the Almighty?
So he repents.
He don't.
He acknowledges God's sovereignty.
And the amazing thing is,
Yeah,
he doesn't get a specific answer,
right.
but he finds a measure of peace
Okay.
in recognizing the vastness and mystery of God.
That's interesting.
It's like he surrenders
Yeah.
to something bigger than himself.
Yeah, it's like he lets go of that need to control.
That need for certainty.
Yeah, like it's okay not to have all the answers.
Sometimes the not knowing is where the real growth happens.
But even though he never gets that explanation for his suffering,
Right.
the book doesn't just leave him hanging, does it?
No, there is a kind of resolution at the end.
Okay.
God rebukes Job's friends.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for their harsh judgments,
Okay.
their flawed counsel.
So he's like, you guys were wrong.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah,
And then he restores Job's fortunes.
he does.
Yeah, gives him a new family wealth even greater than before.
So it's like a reward for his resilience,
In a way, I guess you could see it that way,
for staying true to his faith.
even when it felt like everything was falling apart.
Yeah, it's a powerful message,
It is.
especially for anyone going through a difficult time right now. It's like, even if we don't understand why things happen,
Even if the pain feels unbearable,
there's still hope.
there's always hope
Yeah.
for healing and a brighter future.
That's what makes the Book of Job so enduring, right?
I think so.
It doesn't offer easy answers,
Yeah.
tidy solutions,
Yep.
but it gives us this framework for grappling with the big questions.
Yeah, it gives us permission to wrestle with those questions.
Select meaning and purpose.
Even in the midst of chaos and suffering.
You know, it's funny, I'm realizing after all this
What's that?
that the Book of Job isn't something you just read once and put away.
Right.
It's a text you keep coming back to.
You find new layers each time.
Yeah.
Like peeling back an onion.
Yeah.
You never get to the bottom of it.
What really stuck with you from our deep dive today?
That's a good question.
Was there an image or a phrase that really resonated?
You know, for me, it's that image of the whirlwind.
Yeah.
It's just so powerful.
Yeah.
It represents this awe-inspiring power of God.
Right.
This vastness of creation that we can barely comprehend.
Yeah.
But it also speaks to the mystery
Right.
that surrounds us,
Yeah.
the forces beyond our control.
So it's a reminder that sometimes
Sometimes the wisest course of action is to surrender,
to let go.
to trust in something larger than ourselves.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's a powerful thought
It ties back to what we were saying earlier.
about acceptance
Yeah.
and surrender.
Like that's how Job ultimately finds peace,
Not by getting answers.
but by acknowledging the limits of human understanding.
Exactly.
The Book of Job doesn't shy away from the hard stuff,
No, it embraces the messiness of life.
the raw reality of suffering,
Yeah,
but it also offers this profound message of hope,
absolutely.
resilience,
The possibility of finding meaning and purpose,
even in the face of the unknown.
even when we don't have all the answers.
So to you, our listener,
As you continue to explore this ancient text,
remember to embrace the mystery
find beauty in the midst of pain.
and never stop seeking wisdom, even if it means wrestling with uncomfortable questions.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the Book of Job.
It's been a pleasure.
May its wisdom and its enduring message of hope stay with you.
Long after this episode ends.
Absolutely.